Make sure that for your vertical asymptotes you write x equals. Make sure that for your horizontal asymptotes you write y equals. Go ahead and fill that in. Okay. Folks, so be careful. The limit proper, make sure you have that the limit proper as x approaches 2 does not exist. Even though the right-hand limit and the left-hand limit, well, they don't exist either, but we can describe how they're behaving. We can't describe the limit proper, okay, at 2. Okay, but notice that even though the limit proper didn't exist, either the right or the left-hand limit gave us infinity, so that's enough to say that we have a vertical asymptote at x equals 2. Okay? Folks, because I need to know that you know what's going on, you have to give these asymptotes in equation form. You must write x equals -1 or y equals 4. If you tell me there's a vertical asymptote at 2, that's true, but I don't know if you know what you're talking about. Right? Because there's also a horizontal asymptote at 2. Does that make sense? Okay, so you need to give it to me in an equation form. Okay. Unfortunately, vertical asymptotes has the word asymptote in it, and horizontal asymptotes has the word asymptote in it. And so that leads a lot of people to believe these two ideas are related to one another, and they're not really related to one another. Okay? It's essential to realize that vertical asymptotes arise from exclusions in the domain of the function. Okay? So vertical asymptotes arise from exclusions in the domain of a function. Now, just because the function's undefined at, say, x equals 7, doesn't mean I'll have a vertical asymptote there, but I might. So I need to go explore what's happening around 7. Okay? But the vertical asymptotes, in fact, let's say this, vertical asymptotes and holes arise from exclusions in the domain. So vertical asymptotes are more related to holes than they are horizontal asymptotes. Okay? What do the horizontal asymptotes have to do with? They have to do with the long-term behavior. So if a vertical asymptote describes the behavior near where a function's undefined, can a graph ever cross a vertical asymptote? Can you ever have a point on a vertical asymptote? No, because it has to do with where the function's undefined. But unfortunately, students somehow, somewhere down the road, got the idea that graphs cannot cross horizontal asymptotes. Okay? A lot of people think that. Okay? You pull people on the street. A lot of people think that. Okay? But they're wrong. Graphs can cross horizontal asymptotes. Does this graph cross the horizontal asymptote at y equals 4?
Yes.
Here's the horizontal asymptote at y equals 4. Does it ever cross it? Sure, it crosses it here, it crosses it. Is that a problem? No. All we're saying is that as we go further and further to the right, the y values are getting closer and closer to 4. That's all we're saying. Horizontal asymptotes are just a way of describing the long-term behavior of a graph. And in fact, if you jump to the next page, does this function have a horizontal asymptote? Yes, it does. Where's this horizontal asymptote at? What's the equation of it? Y equals 2, I think. Okay. Because why? The further and further I go to the right, the closer and closer the y values get to 2. The further and further I go to the left, the closer and closer the y values get to 2. So we've got a horizontal asymptote at y equals 2. Does this graph ever cross its asymptote?
Lots.
Many times. Okay. All we're saying is that, notice that eventually pick any window, and this gives us an insight to where we're going to go in section 2.7, pick any window around that horizontal asymptote, and although initially not all y values are in that horizontal asymptote, eventually the graph is completely inside that window. Okay? Because I can make that window as small as I want, then we know we've got a horizontal asymptote. As long as I put that window centered about 2, I can make it as small as I want, and it always, as I go far enough to the right, the graph will be contained in that window. I can do that for anything, so that's why we have a horizontal asymptote there. Okay, if you missed that explanation, that's okay. We're going to do that more. We're going to do that more in section 2.7. Okay. I saw a question. Yes.
If sine of x would have a vertical of 0, but then
Oh, this graph does have a hole in it.
yeah,
It does have a hole. It has a hole right here at the order pair 0, 6. You can't see it from the picture.
Related to this problem,
Okay.
I already kind of figured out the answer though.
Okay, we'll look at it going forward.